Hey everyone, I'm Beaver, the partnership manager over at Nodecraft, and today we have a special audio version of our partner spotlight. So let's sit back, relax, and get to know one of our Nodecraft partners, the Last Seahorse, and all the amazing things they've been up to these past few months. Hey guys, it's Beaver, and it's time for a partner spotlight. This time it's a little different. We're doing an audio recording instead of just our normal text blog, and I'm joined with the Last Seahorse, where they will be going over who they are and kind of what to expect if you want to join them in their journey. It sounds like it's been pretty crazy. So, Last Seahorse, can you kind of give us a little bit of backstory of what's been going on lately?
Yeah, busy is right. So I just finished up a charity event for the Trans Day of Visibility. And the event was called the Trans Week of Visibility, which was put together by Trans Lifeline. And it was a week-long raid train of trans creators or people under the trans umbrella um, streaming to raise money. And we ended on at midnight on Trans Day of Visibility, and we ended up raising just over $40,000 for Trans Lifeline, which is
Wow.
bonkers. Most of which came from the Trans Day of Visibility donations. But on Day of Visibility, we had 12 uh, representatives being extremely visible because we all had 2 hour slots on the front page of Twitch. So it was and I was the one that finished it up, being on the front page of Twitch, knowing that you are the first thing that is seen when somebody opens Twitch is, boy, that's a lot.
Oh, I can imagine. I dealt with that back in the mixer days. You got to be prepared. That's
Yeah.
the thing. You got a few seconds to grab those eyes and that attention for that charity and really push it home
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah, and of course, since it's not the best climate for trans people right now, there was a lot of prep to make sure that, you know, we could deal with problems as quickly as possible and not have it interrupt thing, which thankfully, like, all of us that day learned a lot about dealing with trolls and just bad actors in general, and it was great because we were able to spread a lot of knowledge about that to all of the other people involved, and I'll be spreading that further to just my community and other communities. Probably write something up on Twitter, maybe put something on YouTube, but uh it's a lot of good knowledge to have no matter what, and it worked. All the prep worked. So there were very minimal interruptions that day, which was great.
That's even better because that is always a concern when you're being featured and even where you're being featured is uh what eyeballs are going to come with it and
Right.
if there will be any bad actors. So that's actually really nice to hear that the prep work you did helped minimize that and
Yeah.
you were able to really crush it. I mean, I know the last time we talked, you also did another charity for Trans Lifeline, and it went out of the park for you at that point too. Like it was very
Yeah.
unexpected. I remember, I think you said something along the lines of you had two really big donos get dropped on you. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's sounds like overall it's just been so far a huge year for
Yeah.
you and the Trans Lifeline charity.
Yeah, it has, and it just continues. So I've been streaming for about 3.5 years now, and I realized with this event, my personal contribution is over $20,000 worth of charity to Trans Lifeline. So that was that was a that was a big, like, oh my God, that's a lot. That's a lot kind of moment.
And it really is. It's fantastic. Like really any bit is a lot when it comes down
Yeah.
to it. But it's like when you think about like what was that total again, and how long was it from?
That was just over. My first charity event was in January of 2021. So just just a little bit over 3 years, we'll say. So in 3 years, I've raised between Tiltify and the official Twitch charity tools right about $20,000 for Trans Lifeline.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
that's that's still bonkers. It's still
yeah.
so much.
And then I ended up founding and started running a charity team last year called Diverse Hearts, and over a 3-day period, we ended up raising $20,669.69 for Trans Lifeline.
Wow. Now, again, these are pretty big numbers. So with that, what are some of the things that you're doing in order to reach that, right? I know, for example, some of the things that I have seen from you, unfortunately, unlike the first time, which I know you ran into some issues with some branding and stuff. Um, it looked like this time they were way more prepared. I saw you posting way in advance the socials and everything, trying to get the word out before the event
Yep.
happened. But what were some of the things you guys did during the event to kind of jazz those donations? Yeah,
So I think the branding one that you're talking about was for a different charity. That was an event. That one I ended up having to like uh not run the event for them. That's what ended up happening. That we'll leave it at that.
gotcha.
Uh,
Okay,
but uh, Trans Lifeline has been pretty good with things. I I'm in dead silence for a second here. I mean, like, I've worked with them a lot, so I usually can help shape things early and help with some branding and things like that. And they kind of help boost visibility of like what I post. And this year, because of the Diverse Hearts charity team that I ran, and their participation in the last one, they all had a lot of resources and experience in how to run their own charity event and how to ask for help on specific things. So there was a lot of preparation because this year's the Trans Lifeline Trans Week of Visibility, we had, I think it was 40, no, we had more than that. It was like 80 streamers, I want to say. And I think 20 of them or so were from Diverse Hearts. So um, I kind of told them what was up and laid things out similar to what we had. And then they were able to help answer questions and help do things for everybody else. Because it was once again one of those scenarios where there was the overarching event on Tiltify, but then everybody could make, and a lot of people did opt to their own individual campaigns that they could run with their own milestones and their own incentives and things like that. And a lot of people were new to this, and so it was just creating a collaborative environment. God, that's one of the most corporate things I've said in a while. Um, where people were comfortable to ask questions and were asking for like, hey, does this image look good? What can I do to improve it? I'm posting here. Can you boost this tweet or this post on, Blue Sky, or I refuse to say Skeet, um,
not gonna
and things
lie,
like
I
that.
don't think I've ever heard it called Skeet.
Yeah, I mean, like, so Blue Sky is basically the anti-Twitter at this point, and there was at some point a platform-wide discussion in however that happens early on, and people started jokingly referring to them as skeets, but then it kind of took hold. And so everybody was just like, but we were just joking. Can't we? And it was too late. But yeah, it was a lot of like teaching people how, it's the saying of if you teach a person to fish, they'll, they'll never go hungry kind of thing. And that's what I tried to do. And that's what we've been trying to do the whole time whenever we do these events is help people learn how to run a charity event, but not just a charity event, any kind of event, do their own self promotion, things like that. And as you said, yeah, get out in front of it. One of the biggest things that helps in situations like this is starting. You want to start about 6 weeks in advance with that basic, like, hey, this is going to happen. Here are the dates it's going to happen. If you're interested in participating, this is where you can sign up, kind of thing. Um, and so it was a lot of that. And then incentives and milestones were kind of all over the place, but it was a lot of the typical stuff. I'm running out of ideas for things to do for these charity incentives and these donathon incentives and things like that. Like there's very much the traditional base of, I'm gonna get the the jelly bean, hot and spicy challenge, or the like this might taste terrible challenge, or I'm going to do the one chip challenge. Well, I guess that's not really a thing anymore. Um don't do that. I did it. Don't do that. Uh and then there's also, special things like VR chat days is a good one that a lot of streamers in the vtubing world do, and even some non vtubers do because VR chat is great, or social events, things like that. But there was a lot of that kind of stuff that happened incentives wise. But one of the biggest things I've noticed doing all of these charity events is people are really just happy to contribute to a charity that the streamer is passionate about. Like that's the biggest number one thing. People know, and that's one of the biggest things with streaming. Like people know when you're genuine, and you can't really fake that, you know? And if you're the more passionate you are about something, the better things are going to go. And Trans Lifeline is the way that they provide support uh, is incredible. And the reason why they've been hurting recently is because they do not accept government funds for a couple specific reasons that we don't have to cover. But if anybody wants to know, they can go look it up. Uh, and the climate has not been great for business contributions either. So, because of those things, people are even more incentivized right now to donate.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm sorry. I just lost my train of thought in terms of. Okay, now I remember. My apologies. Uh, the genuine part of it is huge. Coming from setting up a stream team myself for charities, it's it's tough at first to see who's genuinely wanting to work with the charity to help the charity and who's just trying to use the charity for their benefit, or they think it's going to be a way for them to skyrocket to fame because they're doing
Yeah,
this, right?
yeah,
um it's exactly what you said. You can tell when you actually have passion for something and you're able to do it.
yeah.
I did many streams for Extra Life, and I had, like I said, an Extra Life team, and I had many people that would jump on board, but when you would see their effort for the stream and stuff, they were also the
Yep,
ones that also got the lowest amount of donations.
yep,
So, you know, it definitely goes to show if you prepare, if you have um branding, you have like you have your alerts set, you have everything kind of to make it a unique show, because I think that's the big thing, right? You want to make it different to where it's not what you're showing every day, to where everyone's
yep,
getting something. Yeah, it just needs to feel something different, something more passion, so to speak.
yeah. I agree. And I think in this case too, it's a lot easier to be passionate about it because it's a bunch of trans creators raising money for a trans charity. Like we all live this, we all understand the struggles, so it's much easier to get behind things. But uh it's funny that you mention the like, yeah, they were just there and didn't really do anything, because the charity that I walked away from, one of the things that really was a huge red flag to me was after I started to talk about what I was going to do to them and do to them. Oh my God. Do for the event with them. There we go. Um, they were just like, wow, that's a lot. We were just expecting you to run a banner or like have a chat command for this event because that's really all we're doing.
Yeah,
I was just like,
that's
excuse me?
that's not enough.
No,
Not
that's
enough.
that's no. And then they kept going, and then I was like, yeah, I'm out. But yeah, like, and so many of these charities are so great, and it's really easy to get involved in charity work and get passionate about one of these things. So if you're not going to be passionate about, extra life, go look through Tiltify and find something that you are passionate about, because there's tons of things you want to help protect bats. Well, there's charities that are building bat sanctuaries. There are charities that, help raise money to build out more facilities for dealing with stray animals, stray cats, stray dogs, all of that kind of stuff. There's
Yeah, it's
uh
funny. It's funny you talk about that. We'll bring up a really popular streamer right now that everyone's like anyone on Twitch knows is Pirate Software. Um,
yeah, yeah,
and his thing right now and his charity aspect is his ferret sanctuary that he's
yep,
working on. You
yep,
know,
yeah,
anything can
exactly.
really be like anything that you're passionate about can turn into something that can make a difference.
Yep,
Might not feel like it makes a difference to someone else,
right.
but to the other person it will.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I think one of the first times, and this is probably one of the reasons why I've latched onto Trans Lifeline so much, is that they do a micro grant program to help people with, legal fees for name changes, immigration forms with name changes, because that's also a specific kind of thing. And they do grants for hormones and laser and all of that kind of stuff. But one of the times they told me how many people we'd helped, and that was powerful to know that we as a community had helped directly that many people. uh
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did you have any numbers or anything? Like, I know with Extra Life, I know like for our local hospital, the 1 year, the goal I believe was like 35,000 so they could buy a new ambulance. And
nice.
it kind of put that money to a perspective, right? To kind of really give you an idea of what it's going to. And I know a couple other places will be like, yeah, for every $1,000 we're able to do this, and it does this for this many people. Do you recall any of that for Trans Lifeline?
I don't remember what it was that first time, but right now, unfortunately, due to said funding issues, they're trying to recover from mass layoffs essentially and rebuild their emergency phone support system and then restart the micro grant system. So that's what all of the funding has been going towards. And they're also completely transparent about where the money is going. So it's easy to go see, like, yeah, the fund got used for this because it'll be in their tax records.
Yep. Which is fantastic because let's be real, if you're gonna work with a charity organization, you need to know where that money's going for sure.
Yep. Yep. There have been a couple very public examples of why it's important to have that kind of transparency recently. So
Soft giving. I mean, whoops.
I'm sorry. Oh, right about when I started Diverse Hearts was when all of that was starting to go down. And so I actually had a couple people that couldn't participate because they'd signed with that company. And one of the things was you could not participate in any other charity events for like a year.
I know you can't see it, but my jaw just dropped and I'm giving the finger so hard. Um, Only because unfortunately I know people that worked for them. One person left when they found out what was actually happening. The other person didn't. Um,
Ooh,
yeah, that again, guys, listeners, you need to do your research on stuff. There's reasons things happen, and we'll just put it this way: that company rebranded themselves to look different in a different light and went under anyway.
yeah. You can't escape the truth in the modern age when you're as egregious as that. People are going to keep on top of it. Uh, yeah, so all of that was going on roughly when we were prepping and running our event. So it was it was interesting to see that much uh to see kind of a preview of what was about to be very public.
Woo! I honestly did not know that was part of the contract about the exclusivity.
Yep,
Oh
yep.
man, that's
Yeah, no. I'm not sure if it was for the whole year, but it was at least a 30-day before and after. Anytime you ran one of their events, there was a 30-day block before where you could not participate in any events and 30 days after.
oh jeez.
Yeah, that was a oof. Anyway.
All right. So we'll close up the charity aspect of it because again, you've done some great stuff in charity. And I apologize. My one bird's like, "Yo," he wanted to say hi, everyone. Um, so what I want to kind of talk about now is a little bit more of your streaming journey, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned it's been about 3 years,
Mhm.
and what did that look like when you started? What was kind of the reason behind starting to hit that go live button?
Okay. I always love answering this because it's like so I started during the pandemic, like so many people are during lockdown. Um, but it was more of a coincidence, as it was for a lot of VTubers, because right before lockdown happened, uh, VTubing started to surface significantly on YouTube because of Hololive and Niji Sanji. And it started to get pushed, even though it was all Japanese language, outside of Japan, uh, pretty significantly then. And I had seen Kizuna Ai when she debuted and when all of her YouTube, I hate saying the word content, but all of her YouTube content started to release. And when I saw her, I was just like, I'm going to do that. As soon as that is something that I can do without any kind of like super crazy expensive equipment, I'm going to do that. And right about like May of 2020 was when I figured out how to do that, or when I started to piece together how to do that. So by August, I had created my really, really basic Vroid, which is a specific type of 3D VTuber model that's essentially like you use their software, which is a character creator. Like if you've ever used the Code Vein character creator, it's pretty similar. Uh, and made what I wanted and then just started streaming. Actually, no, that's not true. I bought a pre-made first. I bought a couple pre-mades first and just started streaming because my friend and I were playing Fortnite constantly, just because you know, we needed some form of social anything at that point. And I was like, well, why not just stream it on Twitch? Like I can be a waifu. My other joke is that I always wanted to grow up to be a waifu and a magical girl, and I have now achieved both of those things. I'm just I'm just like honestly like my streaming journey has ticked a lot of my life goals along the way. It's been really interesting. And we'll get into some more of those. But but that's basically how like I started doing it randomly, but then I realized how much I loved it and how much passion I had for it. And to the point where I was streaming every day, like every single day, I would play Fortnite with my now mod and uh, well, really good friend who's now one of my moderators and has been just so helpful and supportive during this whole journey. It's uh, humbling, but uh, and I was working full time. So I would like work like 9 hours, eat something, and then immediately start streaming for like 6 hours. It was not healthy.
I remember
Uh,
those days.
yeah. And I wasn't like, and it wasn't for, I wasn't trying to get money. I wasn't to do anything. Initially, it was just, I need affiliate, which let's be honest, that's not the way you get affiliate on Twitch. You don't just go live to nobody. Um, but around the 1st of October of that year, I found the VTuber Twitter essentially and started, you know, building an audience there, or just really, I wasn't even trying to build an audience. I was just socializing and having fun. Like so much of this stuff just started out as having fun and enjoying all of the different aspects of it. Um, but due to just my brain being the way it is, and partially my job, which I was previously a project manager, I just kind of naturally started essentially building a brand and doing things in more of a business mindset because that's just the way I'd been used to doing things. And, one thing led to another. And like when you get down to all of this, you're always building a community. Like that's really what all of this is. And, we talk about the charity work. I just like helping people and like giving people a space. And that's basically what I started doing, and people were joining. And I just genuinely wanted to, hang out with these people, give people a space where they felt they could be themselves. One of the things I even talked about this on stream last night is, I'm non-binary, which means that I don't really present fully as male or female, but I do lean feminine with my VTuber model, but my voice is very masculine, although people are starting to identify it more as androgynous. But I found out through direct feedback from the community and other people on Twitch that, didn't join, that it was it was they were very happy to see somebody that wasn't afraid to do that. And it directly contributed to some of the people in my community becoming streamers. So like all of this just kept me moving forward. I could see that like I enjoy this. Um, it's making people happier. It's helping people be themselves and do what they've wanted to. And I know this because they themselves all are telling me. So it it just it just kept feeding itself. And then, I did my first charity event, and that was super fulfilling. And it just, I don't know, it just felt right. I stopped doing in December of 2020. I stopped streaming 7 days a week and all of that kind of stuff. And then I ended up meeting people in the VR chat Twitch space, and that was amazing. And then suddenly in 2021, January, I was just like, you know what? I don't like my job anymore. I think I'm just not going to do it. And so I quit and just kind of was like, well, let's see how this goes, and kept on streaming. and I love it to death. Like, I just do, and that's kind of what has kept me going. You know, they always say, like, "You don't get into this stuff because you wanna make money, you get into this because you love it," and I
Hmm.
absolutely love it.
Absolutely. And like one of the things I will kind of want to tie back to, you mentioned how early on in three, there wasn't one. I mean, I remember VTubing just kind of starting around the time that you were streaming. I know a
Yeah.
few creators that were kind of treading the water and testing it and seeing how things went. The technology was still very new.
Mhm.
Hell, I know people that were using, want to say, was it Lightroom from Adobe or something like that to help with the one of the Adobe products to help with the rigging and camera stuff, and it was atrocious. But anyway, um, the thing that stood out to me what you were saying is, you know, when you did this, presenting who you are helped motivate and inspire others to start streaming and start doing the same thing, you know. And the reason I want to loop back is because now take that same mentality you just have and now think about what you just did, all the preparation and everything you just did for the front page of Twitch and made it such a great atmosphere and everything to where one it went so successful for you and the the charity. It also was a very welcoming and open community. Like people, it sounded like people were coming in, and honestly, I can't imagine how many people you most likely inspired to be more open of themselves.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's that thing of, like, if you can help one person be true to themselves and really stop and think, like, that's success. I know it's cheesy, but it's true, and that was a huge reason why I started streaming is I don't know, and I made like, I've discovered a lot of myself in the process, and been able to reconnect with a lot of things that I'd kind of put aside. So it's been and I mean, people notice that too. People realize that I'm on a journey as well, and they want to be along for my journey to grow and, not as necessarily a streamer, but just as a person. So it's all of this stuff is just so incredible. It's so powerful. And it, I don't know. There's nothing there. It's such an interesting thing from so many different aspects, and each streamer is out here doing this thing for completely, maybe not completely different reasons, but you can go and see all of these different journeys that everybody is on by watching these streamers, which is why there's so many different communities. People identify with so many different things and end up where they end up because that's a person they believe in, and that's a culture that they want to be around.
So I think that's another big thing that you bring up, and we'll kind of end it with this last big discussion. Is the journey, right? Everyone's journey is different. Um, and some people look for instant or want the instant numbers, or the numbers do come instantly. But I
Yep.
feel like that's something that people kind of lose sight of. And as you mentioned, like you kind of thought back to yourself and started growing yourself, not necessarily your content, but started growing yourself. And I think that's a big thing. Um, like the the journey you have as a person in your content is going to change, of course, how your content comes out.
Hmm.
But I feel like, again, the part that's lost in translation about everyone's journey being different is also the amount of time each journey takes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge component of it. Yeah, because like I said, it's been 3.5 years, And you get in that mindset too of, well, my friend did it in this amount of time. Like, why can't I do that? Why were they able to grow so much and I wasn't? And it's a really big trap that I think almost every streamer falls into at some point. You look at the numbers, you compare yourself to other people, but really it's the journey. And I feel cheesy saying all of this stuff. And just for clarification, too, I just got a Twitch partner in January. And that was something that I had been essentially chasing since 2022. 2022 was kind of the first wave of Twitch crashing a bit. Viewership dropped because lockdown was ending, quote unquote, and the landscape changed. And so I went from this great growth to a sudden drop off and then basically plateaued for like a year and a half or something like that.
Mhm.
Uh, and and I just kind of did my own thing. And there was a lot of change behind the scenes with me and what I was streaming and some of those other things. And one of the things that happened to me along my journey too is that I ended up becoming a DJ. Which, if you look at my branding now, it's all revolves heavily around being a DJ and a musician. And it was funny because in like December of like 2020, January of 2021, I started to have people that really noticed my passion for music and like being able to talk about why I liked certain songs or what the aspects were. And they were like, "You need to be a DJ, Seahorse. You need to be a DJ. Can you DJ for us?" And I was just like, "No," because I had this image of DJs in my mind that I'd formed as a kid, uh, which was that DJs didn't do anything. It's kind of a common thought to a certain degree. But what I realized along the point or during this journey too, and earlier on, as I started to like, people are like, yeah, like, how did you like? Wow, you're really good at this. Like, how did you do it? And I was just like, well, I spent the last like 20 years making playlists and doing thematic playlists and figuring out which songs like work well together and all of that kind of stuff. Don't you do it? No, Seahorse. No, I don't do that. Oh, yeah, no, we don't do that. That's what a DJ does. Oh. So that kind of really made me rethink all of that and look into it more as a proper art form and learn more about what was actually going on. And it fueled me. And I kept doing it. I ended up doing DJ nights on Fridays from like April of 2021 until like September of 2023, once a week on Fridays. And in that time span, I played multiple virtual events and attracted the eye of VGM Con, and I performed there last year in person. And then this year I'm performing virtually. Uh, and I also achieved a life goal of playing at a MagFest event as a DJ last year and played Mag West. So streaming has this streaming journey has done a lot for me and my life goals, and it's just it's wild, you know, the kind of things that you just fall into while you're streaming, and and along the way too, like the kind of stuff that I did just changed. The games that I played changed. The things that I would do and wouldn't do changed. You find out certain things about a company, and you're like, I'm out. I'm out. Uh, I dropped one of my favorite games because the developer decided to attack one of my friends on Twitch. And I was just like, I'm out. Y'all are being jerks. You aren't apologizing. I'm out. So, yeah, like you just keep going. You lose a game, you find another game. You play a game and it turns out that your audience doesn't like that game, you find another game. You figure out that you're spread all over the place because one day you're playing interactive Skyrim and your audience is enjoying launching you into the stratosphere and watching horses break the entire physics engine of Skyrim, and then the next day you're playing marbles on stream. Like sometimes there's too much variation in content. Although actually those are still both interactive things, so they work well together. But it changed so much, and so I ended up like settling in retro and indie space, which honestly, like that's most of what I play. I over the course of time too, I'd realize people would ask like, "What are you looking forward to? Like, what new game is coming out?" And I'd be like, I have no idea. I just want to play Super Mario Brothers 3 for the like 50th time or whatever it is, or I want to learn how to speed run this game, or recently it was I wanted to finally finish Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES, the original platformer one that's known as like one of the hardest games on the NES. I was just like, nope, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna play through that. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to cheese it the first time, then I'm going to learn how to do it without the cheese. And then I ended up over the course of like 6 weeks, probably getting to the point where I did it deathless. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm like wandering quite a bit, but the journey, the journey.
Again, as we mentioned, everyone's journey is absolutely different. And again,
Yeah.
it could take months, it could take years. I mean, there's been people that have been creating content for 10, 15 years and they're just breaking through. It
Yep.
just depends on literally that journey.
It
Um,
does. Who you are, what you want, what you enjoy. Because I mean, I have friends that stream to like 2 people and they love it. They absolutely love it. And like there's like don't ever feel like there's something wrong with it. If you're doing something that you enjoy and you are happy with where you are, just keep doing it. And if you ever want to like grow or whatever, you can do that too. But you should never feel bad about it, and you shouldn't like you probably shouldn't be around anybody that's telling you that you shouldn't feel good about that or enjoy it.
mhm.
Like have your own journey, be yourself, enjoy what you're doing, share it with people. Don't share it with people. Although I would find it strange if you're streaming on Twitch and you don't want to share with people. That seems counterintuitive.
Absolutely. All right. Last but not least, it's going to be possibly a controversial thing here. So, with that being said,
Are you going to ask me if I like pineapple on pizza?
no, that was the last one. Not
Okay.
this one. Not this one. No.
Is
You ready? You ready?
yeah.
Is it pronounced GIF or GIF?
Oh, dear God. It's pronounced jife. All right. It's pronounced jife, which
Now
just,
that made me tilted because I was not expecting that.
yeah, because it just subverts the entire argument. So, like, no. Um, That's actually a reference to an Idea Channel YouTube video from like, God, it's probably like 14 years old now, where they talked about the etymology of GIF versus GIF and a bunch of other things. And they were like, why don't we just create a third thing? And they came up with Jive. Uh, but I am very much like GIF. It's GIF. It's that thing of like, yeah, the creator says it's GIF, but no, it's GIF.
Okay, as long as you acknowledge the creator pronounced it as GIF, then that I will agree to disagree at that point.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah. It's like
Oh,
it reminds me of the Linux versus Linux that happened forever ago. And finally Linux was just like, I pronounce Linux as Linux.
or you can get bad and just be like Asus and be like, oh no, it's Asus. No, we decided it's Asus.
Yeah.
Nah, we don't even know.
Yeah. Consistency? What's that?
Well, I do appreciate you taking the time Guys, again, if you want to check out the Last Seahorse, I'm going to have their details and everything in the blog post. But Seahorse, if you have any last things where you want them to check you, whether it's your Twitter or anything like that, give a shout out. Do it now.
I mean, the easiest thing to check would be thelastseahorse.com. It's got all my socials. It's got my DJ YouTube, which, by the way, the DJ videos I put up on my YouTube are actually curated to be safe for Twitch use. I always make the disclaimer of anything that you stream with on Twitch, you should separate from your VOD, because all of this stuff changes constantly, and all of the stuff that's stream safe today may not be stream safe tomorrow. You never know. So protect yourself. But yeah, go check them out. Go enjoy them. They're great for that. They're great for just listening to. Um, yeah, that's my like self-promotion thing. And come say hi on my socials, come say hi on my Discord. Whatever.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to check out The Last Seahorse over on Twitch. And if you're interested in becoming a Nodecraft partner yourself, be sure to go to nodecraft.com/partnership. Take care, everyone. Have a good one.